And the question, like I said, is, how often do you have to remind yourself of owning your power and stepping into your power and knowing that you are the shit. Response was the story that I had heard about Oprah when she had her show, her TV show, her network show. And, she would interview guests on the show. And Oprah was interviewed after, the show was done running or whatever. And I guess the person who interviewed her asked her, what is the one thing that people ask you? What's the most popular question that you ever got when you were a talk show host? And she answered that regardless of who they were, regardless of how high profile, celebrity, whatever, right? Regardless of who the person was, the one question that every single person who sat on her couch asked her was, how did I do? Right? How did I do? Now we're thinking about world leaders. We're thinking about celebrities, the Beyoncés, Luther Vandross. We're talking about Prince. We're talking about Whitney Houston. All of these people who have sat on Oprah's couch, and they all ask at the end of it, how did I do? Not that they're not confident, not that they don't have the public speaking skills, not that they don't know their stuff, not that they're not experts, not that they haven't been in the game for a hot minute and a half, not that they don't, they're not who they are, not that they don't own their power, but everybody questions their performance. Everybody questions whether they did well or not, right? And so my answer was like, if people at that level have to question whether or not they represented their power correctly that day or that night or whatever it is when they have that interview, then I'm perfectly okay having to remind myself every other day, every other minute, every other moment, whenever I feel down, whenever I feel imposter syndrome keep creeping in. I told somebody this morning that I was an introvert and they were like, what? I'm like, yes, I'm really an introvert. Like, I really like being by myself with myself, right? So it's one of those things where you almost at every point and whenever you need to, remind yourself of who you are. Remind yourself of your journey. Remind yourself of all of the things that make you uniquely you. All of the things that make you uniquely positioned to deliver the products or the services that you're delivering. And, how often do you have to do it? As often as you need. Do people at my level do it? Heck yeah, I do it. Does Oprah does it? I'm 100% sure. Does Beyonce do it? I'm 100% sure. Like all of these songs that we're singing and using Beyonce as an example, a lot of them are affirmations to herself. Like I don't know which album it was. I think it was the self-titled album where she was literally talking about herself and her journey and talking to herself, letting her know that she was that chick, right? So I just wanted to hop on here, right? and say to everybody who may have any point in their journey, in their life, on this entrepreneurial road journey that we're all on, ever doubted themselves, ever found themselves if you've ever found yourself in a space where you didn't think you belonged, or the people in the room did not reflect you, or people have told you you didn't belong, go back to the thing that makes you hot. Go back to the thing that makes you uniquely you. Go back to your superpower. In order for you to be able to own your power, you need to know what that power is. Okay? In order for you to be able to own your power, you need to know what that power is, right? So I highly encourage you, get intimate with yourself, figure out what your unique power is, figure out what your superpower is, and then own it, step into it, leverage it. Like your power is your greatness. Your power it's that superpower that allows you, the person, to be uniquely you, the person to do things your unique way. So whenever doubt creeps up for you, when doubt creeps up for you next time, because it will, when imposter syndrome tries to rear its ugly head, when you start to feel uncomfortable because you've dipped your toe outside of the comfort zone, and you're feeling like you want to run back into the box, remind yourself of who you are. Remind yourself of whose you are. Remind yourself of your journey and how far you've come. Remind yourself of all of your accomplishments. If you do not have a brag bank or a brag bank diary, you need to start one and start keeping one, so you can remind yourself on a daily basis of how much of a badass you are, because that is your power and that is your superpower. And how often do you need to remind yourself? As often as you need to. You are powerful, and you need to own your power. You need to know your power and then own that. You all well. If I can support you in any way, shape, or form, if I can introduce you to anybody in my network, please don't hesitate to hop in my DMs.